Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Tuesday edition, a Victory Tuesday of Football with Friends here on Orange Bloods Live. So pumped to be here with you guys, man. Gosh, it's going to be a big show. Cody and I were just saying we have so much to talk about that we have no idea how we're even going to get through it, even on a bye week. So a bunch to get to. We have the Aggies swooping in, trying to just get their filthy claws on Javion Hilson that Texas has been in on, a little bit of a kind of change there as far as how that recruitment is going. I talked to Jason a little bit about it before the show. Want to talk about that and sort of talk through that situation coming off of his visit to the game there at Kyle Field this last weekend, his reaction to that stuff, and just examine sort of where Texas stands with some of these 2025 guys that are these remaining flips or dudes who decommitted and all the rest of it. So just some recruiting updates on that stuff. Cody has some interesting content from his behind enemy lines stuff that I wanted to maybe we can start with that, Cody. But I found it interesting, some of your stuff about Trey Wisner, and as I was watching back the game today, you and I had a big discussion about Jaden Blue and some of the pass protection issues. So we can get into that stuff. Also, I put in my SEC rankings for the Orange Bloods power rankings. So we can talk about that. And maybe before we talk about your behind enemy line stuff, what about just your Quinn Ewers? I don't know, what is it? Did you capitulate a little bit yesterday about your tweet regarding his aDOT by
we talked about it yesterday. We talked about it yesterday, right, with the aDOT thing. Like, I was simply doing research for my column in regards to putting this tweet out, and I read it yesterday, but I said Quinn Ewers aDOT average depth of target is 5.9 yards in 2024, ranking 79th of 79 in Power 5. This thing's got almost 500,000 impressions to this point right now. And I literally tweeted underneath it because it was getting taken a certain way for obvious reasons. And I said, this wasn't tweeted to disparage Quinn. More interesting nugget than anything. The offense has work to do, not just Quinn. Today, I went and just dropped another one out there. And this one obviously hasn't nearly done. The positive side of tweets never do any better than the one that's negative, right? If you ever try to go the opposite direction, it just never works that way. I said Quinn Ewers NFL passer rating is 125.9 on short area throws, which is 0 to 9 yards from the line of scrimmage in 2024. Get this, Alex. It ranks second out of 69 in the Power 5. So he throws the ball short.
Who's ranked first? Do you know?
Cam Ward.
Oh, okay. So it's like good. Is it other good players that are ranked highly in that?
Cam and Shador right there.
Huh.
So, but that's passer rating, right? That's being elite in that area. So Quinn's elite in that area. So then the thread over on Orange Bloods, a lot of people are asking, what does this mean anything? Why does this matter? Mahomes is a 6.1 aDOT in the NFL right now. People are like, does that matter? Why does it matter? Why does this stat mean anything? And I think more than anything, and you know this as well as I, you don't use a stat as a one-off in most situations. Most situations, it's a stat that can be correlated with other things and create a conversation, and we can talk about it like we are right now. And you have to be able to utilize it in multiple contexts, right? When we saw it, my first instinct was thinking about protecting Quinn. Like, is he injured? Why are they throwing so short? Well, they've been doing it all year, but the trajectory has been like this, right? It's been 10, 8, and now this year, sub 6. And when you look at the number, 5.9 aDOT, it's a half yard shorter than anybody else in the Power 5. Anybody else, the next number is 6.4, a half yard higher, right? So I go look at the passer ratings. The passer ratings for Quinn Ewers in deep, intermediate, short, and behind the line of scrimmage throws. Deep throws, 20-plus yards downfield. He's 42nd out of 73 in Power 5. Intermediate, 10 to 19 yards. He's 63rd out of 74 in the Power 5, which means he's bottom 10.
I'd be interested to see who the top guys in that are, because doesn't it seem like that has the NFL? Doesn't it seem like they would be looking at that stuff for the deeper outs and the stuff and the outs to the field side and all of the rest, like the arm strength to be able to sling it on those timing routes and stuff? But that could be totally wrong.
No, I think you're right, though. I think that was like, again, one part of the conversation was like, there's a lot of drive behind, Quinn came back because he wants to up his draft stock and all this stuff, right? And also wants to win. And upping your draft stock to me as a draft evaluator isn't me seeing that this guy has the lowest aDOT in football. It isn't that this guy is so elite at getting the ball out behind the line of scrimmage. Like, that's where my brain, outside of like questioning, are they protecting him because of his injury? It's why? Why is this the thing? And what's it look like down here? We know he can get the ball downfield. It's not as nice as other guys, but he can do it. We've seen him, cause PIs, especially with Ryan Wingo this year and stuff. But the intermediate area was definitely interesting. 63rd out of 74. And then the short area, 0 to 9, which I know we're trying to move the chains. If you can complete 2 passes that are 5 yards long, you're going to get a first down, right? He's 2nd out of 69. He's second best behind Cam Ward, the Heisman frontrunner right now, in passer rating between the 0 and 9 yard completions. Behind the line of scrimmage, he's 24th out of 65. Again, with an aDOT of 5.9 overall. You know what? Do we talk about Arch at all? Arch behind the line of scrimmage is 10th out of 65, where Quinn's 24th. He does not qualify. Manning does not qualify in the short or intermediate areas. He didn't complete enough passes. That's kind of interesting that all of his rankings either behind the line of scrimmage or 20 plus yards downfield. Yes, so he's 10th behind the line of scrimmage, and he's 24th deep, which is 20 plus downfield. So he's 18 spots better than Quinn deep, and he's about 14 spots better behind the line of scrimmage, which is the only areas that Arch qualifies.
Huh. That's wild. So, Cody, that the fact that he doesn't have a qualifying number for the intermediate and the short stuff goes to show that Sark uses a different offense with Arch.
Yeah,
it's not a different offense, but he calls plays differently with Arch. He says he's kind of said that he doesn't really do that. The offense is the offense, and if they come up on us, and it could be in those 2 games. I can't remember exactly by now. I've watched so many plays, and I'm neck deep right now. And Vanderbilt, I'm like halfway through the offense. Already have some thoughts about that. But so I can't remember exactly whether in Arch's 2 games, whether teams were playing up closer to the ball and stuff like. It doesn't really seem like it. That do you think that that's like Mississippi State's MO?
Well,
I don't think that that's their MO. Like, that wasn't, they weren't crowding the line of scrimmage and daring Texas to throw over the top.
Well, no, but we also know that it's an open conversation. Like, everybody knows, including the opposing coaches, know that Arch is elite downfield. How many coaches and how many times have we heard this guy's one of the best quarterbacks at throwing the football downfield in football, in college football? It's Arch Manning. Like, that's a known. I feel like Saban said that. I feel like Sarkis said that. I feel like everybody knows that. Right? It's attacking what he's good at. And then you also hear, I feel like we talked about this yesterday, but I feel like Sark literally said yesterday when he was, on, I don't know what you want to say, coming to Ewer's side on this, but basically saying, like, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's keeping the ball close. He's getting it out quick, within a split second, and he's elite in that area, which is what this passer rating tells us, is that he's elite at getting the football out within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. His aDOT's the lowest in college football, and he's the second best in that situation. So, again, like I said, the tweet yesterday was never to disparage anybody. It was just a fact, right? And I thought it was interesting to bring up that the passer rating just kind of told us exactly what Sark said yesterday, which is that he's doing exactly what I'm asking him to do. He's elite at it. So maybe it just took all this time to reel him in as far as figuring out what he's best at. Again, we talked about the aDOT being 10 2 years ago, 8 last year. And the weaponry, of course, changes. There's no Xavier Worthy. There's no Adonai Mitchell, who are faster guys, Adonai bigger, guys that can win downfield. And this team specifically is built around speed, very good blocking wide receivers, and guys that can create yak, right? Bond creates Bond creates yak. Wingo is tough to tackle. DeAndre Moore is tough. Like, this team's built to, and then of course you have the running backs, and then Gunnar Helm counts as well. But it's built to break tackles. It's built to create after the catch. And if they've realized that Quinn's best attribute is staying near the line of scrimmage, I mean, we're here to win college football games. We're not here to honestly get Quinn picked number 1 overall in the draft. Like, that's not, if that was the goal, then I think that they would be working toward, hey, let's get this, let's keep pushing it downfield. But no, they're trying to take what the defense is giving them and win football games.
Man, you mentioned Sark's press conference yesterday, and we got so into the weeds. We didn't really get to talk much about it. Can we just talk about 2 things that are like, that are more just kind of I don't know, like transactional, or maybe like organizational, or just the way he's kind of thinking about these 2 things?
Jonte?
No, but we can talk about it.
Okay, I'll write that down. You go to the 2 you were thinking.
Okay. Okay. So I was thinking that it was the stuff about the support staff, right? And the stuff about preparing for what could be the new 105-man limits and how you recruit to that.
Okay.
Did you think it was here's my deal. So they asked, I forgot who it was who asked. Might have been Joe Cook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was.
He asked about recruiting to 105 scholarship player class. And he says, I think we have to operate as if things are as they are. So as if it sits at 85 and they're not going to change it and all this stuff like that, because he said you don't want to overoffer and have to turn kids away if the NCAA or whoever this is the organization in charge of this. It's like the NCAA is such a cockamamie bunch of, just like I always say, it's like they're like, these are like unelected people that if you love football, man, they kind of rule over your lives. And like, you don't have any say in these people. It's just, it's crazy to me that the NCAA wields so much power. It's why I'll be so happy once it's finally abolished. But if they Sark said, we're not going to over offer, because then we're going to have to just tell a bunch of guys to get lost. And I thought to myself, well, that's nice, and that's the honorable way to do it, Sark, and good for you. But like, other teams everybody else is going to overoffer, aren't they? Or is everybody going to take the high road here?
Well, definitely not everyone's going to take the high road.
Okay, college
football. This is the ultimate gray area. This is the ultimate. What do they call? What's the word I'm looking for? Not open land, but it's the ultimate, just like
wild west.
Wild west. Yeah. Right. That's what it is. Until something is definitive, it's the wild west. The NIL is the wild west until proven otherwise, until there's a definitive cap on this whole thing. So I think he's taking the smart approach. He knows, and I think he's established well enough in recruiting the last couple of years. He knows he can get the majority of guys to sustain. He believes in their development, right? We've always talked about what does he love talking about, right? The guys that develop, the Gunnar Helms and the Michael Tabbs of the world, right? He loves talking about these guys. Why? Because they develop, and he believes in his staff can develop. So worst case scenario is it's 1 year. It's 1 year where he potentially misses out on a couple guys, right? But he probably goes out and fulfills that with, you can give walk-on scholarships. You can go out, you can add other guys. There's a multitude of ways you can go after. There's JUCO that's in, draws right now as far as what it used to be. And then you have
dude, when's the last time you heard anybody go after JUCO, dude?
Dude, like Jermaine Johnson. Like, it's been 4 years since JUCO's really been at the forefront of conversation, and NIL kind of sunk it. Like, a lot of people don't like JB, Coach Jason Brown from Last Chance U, but he's I would say the biggest proponent of JUCO in the history of the sport, and he still talks about it to this day. And he says it's just wrecked because of NIL.
How did NIL specifically wreck JUCO?
Because kids think that they can just jump in the portal and go to a different school versus having to do the old route, which was if you got kicked out of school or you had to dip out of a D1, you had to drop all the way down to JUCO most cases and then bounce back. and that you were looking for your opportunity to bounce back. And
Is
now
that
guys,
NIL but is that NIL that ruined it or transfer portal like
portal.
stuff?
Sorry, did I say NIL? I meant
Yeah.
portal.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so maybe I missaid that to you, and then okay, so yeah, portal though. I don't know where I was at.
You were just saying these teams can go JUCO, they can do all this stuff, but
Yeah, so but I think that the more so is I think Sark's process is right. I don't think you should go out and try to get 20. Imagine you go out and you get 20 more dudes that are 3, 4, and 5 stars, and all of a sudden, they take the thing to court or it gets deferred a year or something like this, and then you all of a sudden you what are you going to do with those 20 guys, right?
yeah.
No, you can't do anything. You just screwed. So, more than likely, I think it's just going to be he's proven himself. He's good enough in the transfer portal to like if he does maybe miss out for a year on the premium stuff, he's proven that he can go into the portal and fulfill spots like the receiver position and stuff like that. So I think it's sound. I don't think everyone's going to do it. I'll be interested to see if anybody gets screwed over the situation. That's for sure.
Well, but they can't no player can sue a football program for giving an uncommittable offer. They do that all the time.
Yeah, as I say, they can rescind their offer whenever they want.
We have a look at this. We have completely unsubstantiated rumors and innuendo in the chat here from TK Meltz. I don't know why, but I believe him, bro. He's saying that Jarrett Gibson's going to have a big game in the next game. They've got him up to speed with pass protection. Expect 2 RBs out of the backfield. Well, that'll be interesting. I've not seen Jarrett Gibson in much of the 21 personnel stuff. That's pretty.
We need some more Gibson, I'll tell you that.
Man, Cody and I went over it today, but Jaden Blue had one big just blow up play, dude, on that half slide protection. And that the broadcast blamed Hayden Connor for. I texted Cody the video. I'm like, we had to go over the slide protection rules and get it figured out what's going on the man side of the half slide, and like that was Jaden Blue that allowed that thing. I'm sure that was a play where Quinn got creamed. So I'm sure that the fact that you're bringing up pass pro right now is probably kind of on their mind a little bit with these dudes.
Florida was Gibson's final unofficial visit before he signed with Texas. So,
oh yeah, that's true. Florida, is he from Florida? He's from IMG, but I forgot if he moved there from somewhere else.
I don't know about that.
They also mentioned Bond is healthy, but Sark wanted to give him the extra 2 weeks to relax. Yeah, that's kind of what Sark said at the press conference yesterday. He said, he said like, we thought it'd be nice just to give Isaiah Bond 3 weeks to get ready. There's some stuff in here about punter. I think we'll talk about punter when we talk about your thing, Cody, about your article. You had some stuff in there about the Texas punters and how they're graded out by cockamamie PFF. Like we trust PFF, right?
Who?
Like who? Right? I'll tell you what, man. I definitely trust Texas beef traders with my food, with my family's food. Cody trusts Texas beef traders with a big box of beef when he comes down here to do live shows. Dude, Texas beef traders is so good. Their steaks are amazing, just ridiculously awesome cuts. And they have cuts that you wouldn't even think to know about. There was this one that I got the other day that I just had.
The Dunlap?
No, I definitely have a few of those in the freezer. That's the Delmonico chuck eye steak. But this one was called the Terrace Major. Have you tried one of those? I don't even know what it is. It looks like a tri-tip or something, but man, it tastes. It's got I don't know, man. It's just got that real beefy flavor and that super just buttery texture to it. It's an amazing cut of beef, and I wouldn't have known about it if I wouldn't have gone to like a family butcher shop like Texas Beef Traders. Where like, hey man, this is the kind of cut that the butcher kind of takes home for his own family. Like, give this thing a try. It's cheap.
It looks like backstrap.
Yeah, absolutely delicious food at Texas Beef Traders. You get 10% off if you tell them that you heard about them at Football with Friends or here on Orange Bloods Live. Right there in the heart of Lakeway, right there in Lomas Crossing. No vaccines, no inoculations, no cross-herd breeding, none of this stuff. Just great Angus beef, great Wagyu beef, great Great Piedmontese beef from Lukenbach, all of it local, all so delicious, man. You got to check out Texas Beef Traders. If you can't make it into Lakeway, I recommend coming into the store to get the whole experience. They'll cook you up some food. They'll 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 give you some beers. They're gonna try and they're just gonna try and trap you in there and just kind of hang out. But if you don't want that kind of experience, just call up there, talk to Darren, talk to Shay, put it in an order, get your 10% off. Don't worry about going to the store and getting some meat that comes from Venezuela or something like this, right? Get your meat local, and they'll just bring it to your house. They're not going to charge you any extra money for that. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Tell them you heard about them here on Football with Friends.
We may have to go back up there again this year.
Yeah, man.
There's a couple games left.
Yeah, for sure. Another reminder, if you guys want to email us, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com, fwfemails@gmail.com. Just wanted to make sure that we talked about that. We did get an email from our guy Tom yesterday that I wanted to ask you about, but it looks like we have some super chats that we need to get to first. So
we got our guy Money B.
Money B, thank you for the super chat, brother. Okay, so he says regarding OL, should we run more power than zone? Looks like zone power has been killing. So zone has been killing us. Hopefully, I'll have some prize pick winners. Are there prize pick stuff from today?
Well, dude, we're still in the middle of that 56-day stretch. I think we're like almost dead middle of that 56-day stretch of games every single day.
Look on prize picks. I'm not sure gonna have. I'm not sure I'm gonna have any winners. But we can look.
So Lafayette and Texas State are tonight in 5 minutes.
Oh no, we're not gonna have any. We're not gonna have winners for that. I don't think.
You know, got no Texas State Fire.
Yeah. Is that's the only game tonight?
Looks like Louisiana Tech and Sam Houston as well in 35 minutes.
Louisiana Tech and who?
Sam Houston.
Okay. We can answer these other questions first. Maybe we could get to prize picks because there's probably some Taco Tuesdays that we can mix in with it. All right. So about zone versus power, dude, I get Money B. I could probably just figure it out a little bit on the fly here. So versus Vanderbilt so far in the first half of the game. So in the first half of the game, I'm through the fourth series. So that was the series that ended with the sack on Quinn. They've run power, inside zone, outside zone, power, inside zone, outside zone. So they've run power concepts twice, power / counter, whatever, trap, whatever you want to call it, twice, and then zone concepts 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So they versus Vanderbilt, they ran zone twice as often as power, counter, trap, this kind of stuff. Versus Georgia, okay, Cody, can you keep count of these? They ran zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And they ran power 1, 2, 3 as far as the design runs to running backs. So
what was the first one you said?
Much more zone. 13 and 3.
Yep.
Versus Georgia. Versus OU. They ran power, or they ran zone, inside or outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 times inside or outside zone, power / counter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they also ran one just straight up old school draw play in that game. So running back draw. So let's just say last 3 games, because it's probably not good radio for me to just sit here counting. But it's been a lot more zone last 3 games than it has been power and counter. And I will mention that the first time that Texas even got anything going versus Georgia was the first time that they ran power to the right. That's where Trey Wisner had his long of the whole game. And I think that's where Sark said in his post-Georgia press conference that there were some things that we got going in the run game that we really liked, that we wanted to do a little bit more, but we couldn't get them going. I think it was them kind of going to a little bit more power stuff, pulling Hayden Connor. And because here's the thing, Cam Williams, whenever you run it over there off the right side, his job is just to block down, right? Just cave down the outside to create a bunch of space to where whatever happens with the whatever Hayden Connor does, like he's got to get to the outside, and then what he does is work inside out, right? He has to figure out whether or not he's going to take the guy, whether he has leverage to turn him inside back the way the Cam is, or whether he's just going to kick him out, right? So you want to give him a bunch of space to be able to diagnose this stuff, right? So he can come off of Cam's right side hip, or just kind of off the back of his butt. And Cam is really, really good at caving him down over there, right? It's just more. It's like that's not going to be an issue. The only issue is whether or not Hayden Connor's going to be able to hone in, identify his target, and work in this case, in inside out kind of decision as far as whether he's going to be able to reach or whether he's going to have to kick out.
I know PFF is cockamamie, but do you ever look at these charts that they have where they rush by direction? They show rushing totals by direction and gaps.
No, never looked. I don't really look at it.
Okay, so left end here, left end, left tackle, and right end are the three places that Texas has run the most. This is against Vandy, right? So left end is when there's a tight end to the left side of the tackle. So that's outside of the tight end when there's a tight end lined up on the outside of the tackle, and then left tackle would be running to the left of the tackle between the tight end or just outside the tackle.
Yeah, and you know what that is versus Vandy, right? It was the nice Jaden Blue run off of left tackle that really helped with that. Do you remember that run on the outside zone?
Yep.
I mean, it's like I got to thinking. I was like, man, is it just that Trey Wisner, even though he typically has this?
Those were all Wisner runs, by the way. Sorry that I was showing.
Oh, those were all Wisner runs. Okay.
Oh, sorry, never mind. Sorry. Okay, I have two different things showing up here on my screen. Sorry. You're right.
Those have all been Wisner runs.
Sorry, that was the team. Sorry, that was the team.
Yeah.
I had the Wisner one. They have them the way they are on my screen is Wisner's over here and the team total's over here, and I just screenshot the team total. Sorry. Yeah. So you're right.
Nope, no worries. But yeah, I think with Wisner, even though he has it's so crazy. He has all the things that you think that you want from a zone runner, right? He's patient. He's got good vision. He has a good solid cut up field, and he can good shed ability through the hips. He falls forward, but it's just like for some reason when you get that guy flowing laterally behind the line of scrimmage, it's like if things don't, it feels like it gets a little bit stale with that guy. Whereas with Jaden Blue, man, he packs just a little bit of a, he's got a little bit more dynamite to him, man. He gets to that edge and you could just see him pop sometimes.
There's your Wisner number there on the left side versus the team on the right side. So 7 of the 8 runs to the right side, right end, were Wisner. That's where they ran Wisner the most in that game for 41 yards. So it's outside of the tight end lined up when there's a tight end on the right side of Cam Williams.
It's just so, and right end.
Sorry.
Wait, we do that again. Right end. Was that 5.9 yards per attempt?
Yards per carry? Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's what I was. I think, and those were those power runs that I was just talking about, right? So where you have just Cam Williams just creaming them, blocking down, and then having that space that's picked up because you're saying that's right in. That's when a tight end or an H-back is attached. Yep. And so with that kind of stuff, you can have the tight end kick out, and that's where Hayden Connor doesn't have to worry about working inside out. He just needs to get up in the hole and just kick out.
And then here's your Jaden Blue, only 10 carries, but his success came outside of
left off of left tackle.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
23 of those 36
Yeah.
yards came in that one run.
Yeah, it's like I mean, those charts are probably right because they tell me exactly what my eyes can remember, but I'm only done with half of the game. So,
Yeah.
but I can identify I can certainly identify certain runs there that kind of make sense to me. There was a email from our guy Tom. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on this, and then I want to ask you the whole question about support staff. Okay, so this is Tom. Again, he emailed us, fwfemails@gmail.com. If you have questions for the show, things you'd like us to discuss, if you're interested in like sponsoring the show or doing like a sponsorship deal, we'd love to get you in contact with our marketing manager, Sunny. I know she's talking with some people about this stuff right now, but certainly would love to hear from you if there's any ideas you have. All right, so Tom says, brother, can you please get your colleagues and anyone else who will listen to understand that citing these mandatory injury reports is relevant as a fallacy. It changes very, very little because there are zero repercussions and no requirements associated with submitting an accurate report. Only required to submit them. That's it. Kiffin et al. Give out wrong and inaccurate info every week. It's basically only a test of how transparent each program wants to be perceived. Kind of like locking your car door. It likely only keeps the honest people out, not the criminals.
So what you're saying is I should do a column entirely on backtracking all these injury reports for the season after the season's over.
Yeah, it's probably good.
And come out with a hit piece on Lane Kiffin.
Tom just wanted to get this thing off of he wanted to get this thing off his chest. He's not happy about the injury reports.
Oh, it's a great take, though. It's a great take. You've seen zero gatekeeping of this injury report thing.
Well, what are they going to do?
What do you mean? What are they going to do? They just how much do we just get fined for throwing water bottles?
The only people who the only way that it gets policed at the NFL level is by the PFWA. And here's the thing. All right, so that's called the Pro Football Writers of America. Cody and I are members. Actually, I'm a out of You're a
fugazer.
Yeah, I've been paid my dues this year. I really need to get them paid at least before the combine, dude. I feel so. I think I'm like 2 years out, man. But all right. So what the PFWA does, and this is something that I just came to understand because I was actually the new media chairman for the Pro Football Writers of America for like 8 years, and basically what that was me just begging them. I'm like, please just get on Twitter. Just like stuff like this, right? It wasn't really that hard of a job, but the PFWA exists to make sure that the NFL teams abide by the NFL media policy, right? And so that is, let's say that if every week, like the NFL owners have an incentive, and the NFL in general, the Shield, the various franchises, they have incentive to make sure that media gets a ton of access, because that incentive is we want stories about our league driving the conversation. We want snippets about our league to fill up the newspaper and now the online ethos. We want people talking about our product. We want it to be ingrained in people's lives, and to be able to do that, if we just left the coaches to their devices, they would say, get every reporter the hell out of here. It's like, what are you doing? Let them come into my practices, let them come to my locker room, talk to my quarterback, talk to my coordinators, talk to all these people, right? But so the NFL media policy, to protect against that, they just tell the coaches, it's like, hey, man, you got to sign up. When you sign up for this, like, yeah, they're going to be cameras that come around that are part of the team website. They're going to, you got to give your quarterback once a week. You got to give your coordinators once a week. You got to do open locker room twice a week. You have to have coach availabilities at least twice a week. And then, key players, whatever you got to give, and if there's any players that, an NFL reporter wants, like say they're doing a special thing about, I don't know, let's just say, breast cancer awareness for breast. I think that's about to come up, right, with the pink cleats. And maybe some dude had a mother who battled through it. And so they're like, they want to get quotes from him. Like just a random thing. I'm not saying that that's true, but just something like that. like they got to give them that player, right? Just so they can do their story. And that's mandated by the NFL, and there's a media policy, and the PFWA exists. So a writer can say, yo, dude, you know, you're the president of the PFWA. The Panthers aren't giving me the quarterback once a week. And then the PFWA calls the NFL and they litigate that for you and they get it all figured out. There's no such institution. There's no hierarchy in college football like this, Tom. Like there's nothing to police it. There's nothing. And I don't even think even something like the football route. What, Cody, are you a member of the FWAA?
Yeah.
Why? Just because? Is it good?
They send me a little book every year. They send me one of these babies.
And that's like the college PFWA, except it doesn't have any teeth like the PFWA does, right?
Yeah, they give me a directory every year so I can contact people if I need to. So like they have like
contact other reporters or contact like SID.
I can contact, there's reporters from like, the fan, Indiana Athletics, College Football Dogs, The Athletic, Wide Open Media. They have all the active members, and then they also have all of the staffs. So it has like all of the offensive staffs at Colorado State, Jay Norvell, when his weekly press conference is, half these guys has their phone numbers. I can call the primary media contact for Colorado State.
Oh gosh, you're just gonna get Jay Norvell on the phone by calling that. Calling up, hello, Jay Norvell here. Like, hey, I don't think that's how it works.
So I mean that's basically what this is like the main source of crap that you get. The rest of this is, essentially garbage. But it shows like their main beats. So all the main beats for Colorado, the main beats for Houston, all this crap, right? But as far as like, and you get to vote on like awards, so like the Ben Eric Award and all that different stuff. So, but past that, I don't really know what it does for you from a writer like the PFWA does.
Yeah, all right. So, but it's like you can't call them up and be like, "Yo, man, Bianco's only giving us 3 practices during fall camp." It's just it doesn't work like that. It's up to the universities.
Yeah.
And now my white whale, the thing that I want the most, and the reason why I want to go to the SEC spring meetings this year is because I would like to address Commissioner Sankey about the idea of an SEC media policy. I think they should have a media policy that these teams should have to follow. It would be much better for content for people. Teams would not be giving up any kind of competitive advantage. It would just mean that you got better coverage of your team. It would be stuff where you can't even. I'd even sign off to the stuff where you can't give out depth chart information. You can't do anything. None of it. Like there could be a happy medium that they could find for that, and it would make the reporting on college football just so much better, and make my life harder, right? Like for sure. But I'm like, I think it would make
not really.
Well, no, I would, dude. I live in Spicewood, Texas, man. You have to drive an hour and 10 minutes each day for different stuff up at the school.
Yeah, but if they were transparent about it and you knew, because I know you schedule your day out similar to where it's like you schedule all your hours and you have things to do and you have kids to pick up and stuff. Not like me, but you. And if you knew, like, okay, I know Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, I got practice. Not like, hey, it's Sunday night at 8 p.m. We got practice tomorrow morning. Like, if you were transparent about stuff like that, or transparent about, the depth chart, for example, you spend how many years have you been doing the depth chart now for Orange Bloods? Like
it's just as long as I've been here doing it, man.
I imagine they gave you
the depth charts yeah.
You'd be able to do more analysis of the depth chart than mine, creating the depth chart based on.
They've been really accurate, Cody, though.
No, you'll still do stuff, right? You'll still take your notes. You'll still be like, well, I think this is wrong, but you'll be able, that'll be your analysis. Your analysis won't be like trying to track down, it'll be at least like, Bond is playing X. Okay, well, that takes this guy's actually playing, Goosby's actually playing left tackle behind because, okay, well, we get the positions knocked out. Now we can give analysis on why it is. And that's, I think, just a small, tiny tidbit into the positivity of having a media policy that could benefit you.
Yeah, man. Benefit the fans. Just like ultimately it's about the fans and the health of the sport.
Yeah.
Like it just, I mean, like look at the NFL. I mean, if you follow what the NFL does about a bunch of stuff, you're going to make your product better.
You may give me $1 billion if that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, I mean, you probably are. The other thing I just wanted to just touch on, We haven't even talked about Javion Hilson yet. Should we talk about that?
Sure.
The Aggies are going after him. But I do want to come back to the support staff stuff. So about Javion Hilson, now that we're 40 minutes into the show, that's on the cover, everybody waiting for the big 2025 update. I think that the Aggies made a good impression on that guy this weekend.
He's not an Aggie.
You don't think so?
This is one of those
worried. I had that guy in the bag to Texas. I think that I talked to Jason about this. I go, man, it feels like some of these quotes I saw that he's worried about it. I see the guy, I forget his name from, is he from 24/7 or On 3? Will. Yeah. He said that today that this is looking like this. I was like, dude, I was already thinking this. I texted Jason. I was like, Jason, what have you heard about it? He's like, well, for one, Javion Hilson doesn't talk to anybody. So if they're saying that, either they had it was somebody who either like talked to him, which is very rare, or it's just kind of taking from the quotes of the person who, I think it was Jason Howell that talked to him after the Texas A&M guy, my friend Howell. I don't know who it was. I think it was one of the Texags guys, but just the quotes about how, do you have those quotes?
I have the Aggies quotes.
The quotes from the Aggies?
Yeah.
What is that?
The Aggie quote was this actually from Adam Gorn. He posted it on Aggie EL, their rivals site. He said the Cocoa Beach, Florida standout seemed very impressed by his A&M visit over the weekend and is planning to return trip for Texas Showdown in November. I've been told the Longhorns lead, but that was before he was in College Station over the weekend. In quote, it was a great atmosphere for my first game at Texas A&M. The defense made a lot of stops. The fans were crazy. The offense played great too. They were down in the second quarter, and then the third quarter they came back. That shocked me. They kept fighting to the end. The fans' energy was crazy. It was so loud, made me want to get on the field and put cleats on.
I mean, that's a pretty rousing. That's a pretty rousing. He had a good time.
He don't look like a Aggie.
Yeah, but man, when they go and they're not kind of freaked out by those guys, it's always a bad sign. I mean, sometimes people go and they get a little bit freaked out by how weird everything is.
Well, you think he's going to come off of that visit and go, yo, dude, they do some weird shit there. You think that's going to be the
swear jar?
Here's your dollar.
No, I think I don't know. I think that every time I go.
Yeah, but you might think that he might think that, but he's not going to say that in an interview.
Cody, like look up the thing where they like grab each other by their midsection and their privates and stuff, and they hunch over and they get in a long line doing it, and they swing back and forth, or they do this thing called the horse laugh, or they
Yo, what is this Aces thing, by the way?
Aggie can eat something. That's what that stands for. Whenever you type something about the Aggies and people write back Aces, that means Aggie can eat. Yeah,
gotcha.
So. It's an odd place to go, but I can understand how
he's not going there. So
Jason says if you talk to A&M people that they feel good.
Jason's also rather what's the word?
I mean, I was just tilted because I was like in my mind, I thought that Hilson was
he's going to Texas or he's going to Central Florida, and Central Florida is kind of crap in the bed. He's going to visit Syracuse this weekend, which I don't view as a heavy thing. But I think it's going to be Central Florida or Texas. I don't buy the A&M thing. I think A&M's a good visit, but again, he's either going to stay home or I think he looks like a Texas.
Going back there for an official for the Texas game.
There's no bias there. Yeah. And you know what? And the thing is that could, I guess, I mean, if A&M rides out the rest of the season, goes into that game at the top of the SEC and beats Texas, that could have a little waiver into it. But like I said, this is one of the few guys, and I've told you before, there's a few guys where they just look like they belong. He looks like he belongs.
Is Kevin Wynn one?
Huh?
Is Kevin Wynn one of them?
Kevin Wynn what? One that looks like he belongs.
Well, I mean, if we're just talking about your crystal ball here, we're like, man, he's coming.
No, Kevin Wynn's not.
What about Justice Terry?
No.
So who are they just going to take a bunch of like Mbachu and are they they already have a couple?
Yeah, Mbachu I feel good about. but not like I said, there's not a
I
lot of
need
guys.
more of these true 3-techs though, dude.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the Aggies don't have any real edge rushers. Like they have a bunch of 300-pound dudes, and 3 linebackers. One linebacker being Marco Jones, 6'5", 240, the guy that came in for an official at Texas, the guy from California. I think I don't think it's Mate or D. I don't remember where he's at. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he's like a 6'5", 240 outside linebacker type. But that's like their only guy that is like kind of an edge rusher. So they definitely need edge rushers. But
We got the whitetail opener this weekend, Cody.
you
Hey,
gonna get some?
no Texas game. Well, I'm going to go out next week. I'll be missing on Wednesday and Thursday. So I think Jason said he would fill in on the show. I'll be back for Final Takes Friday going into that next game. But yeah, I'll be going for whitetail and for access.
I think I'm gonna get on and down on Thursday.
What?
I think I'm gonna get on and on Thursday.
Okay. But what I was going to say is like we have that FWF emails at gmail.com. I'm going to be so depressed, man, if we don't start seeing some antlers on the ground in that email address, man. If you guys if you guys go out and kill, please send us photos, man. By this time last year, we already had a Jay Ward and all these guys that had just just gone ham. So send us those photos from the whitetail opener. All right, Cody, the other thing I wanted to ask about. But that's the Hilson update. I'm worried about A&M. Cody's not.
Texas.
I'm just saying, man, it's like, I thought it was in the bag. I'm not sure anymore. It's
in the bag.
The other thing, whenever Sark was asked yesterday, just about his support staff. And he's like, yeah, Texas kind of has a puny support staff, man. What do you think of that? He says, we're going through that right now. There's a lot bigger support staffs in the SEC than ours is right now. More manpower and money allocation. Like that doesn't always mean better. More doesn't always mean better, but we're going through a bit of a self-audit right now.
Should I apply for a job or what?
I just don't like you could. I'd like to think that the fact that he's saying that he's identified the fact that Texas needs more support staff and that Texas is allowed to have more support staff, and he recognizes the fact that when he looks around the SEC, schools like Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, Texas cannot be one of the have-nots. And I know that he says more is not always better. And I totally get it. Chef's in the kitchen, whatever, all the rest of it. This is getting down to where it's like, this is an arms race, man. And you got like, they're going to be little corners of the internet or little corners of this part of the, this little county or something like, or just little areas that need watching and things that need minding and things that need to be, tended to where you don't have to have too many cooks in the kitchen approach, but you can have the approach of we want an all hands, all encompassing approach to where we're not going to be behind our competitors and give them any kind of real competitive advantage in any kind of way. If you're at Texas, if they're doing a self-audit right now, what I hope that means is they've realized that, and that the self-audit involves Chris Del Conte and him saying, we're going to give you whatever you want for it. Sure. That's just what I have to say about it. I don't know what's happening. I'm going to look more into this and stay on it because I feel like it's important, but I don't know if you have anything else to say about that, Cody, but I wanted my thoughts on record. Texas should have the biggest, baddest, best support staff in the whole SEC. And the fact that Sark has to look around and say, man, there's a lot of bigger ones than us right now, and more's not always better. Like, woe is like we can't be talking about that. I mean, this is Texas. This is Texas. So hopefully that all gets remedied. All right. What else do we have? Do you want to talk about some of your stuff? You like some of those Wisner numbers that you had?
Well, the Wisner. So I had 7 tidbits from 7 wins. 2 of the tidbits were the average depth of target stuff with Quinn that we don't need to rehash. But the first one that I wrote down, this is kind of my biggest kind of, I guess, thought coming out of the game was, can we stop with the Trey Wisner focus on offense? please. The last 2 games against Vandy and Georgia, the leading player in touches on the offense was Trey Wisner, 42 touches, 181 yards, 4.3 yards per touch. More than twice as many touches as the next best player, which is Jaden Blue with 20. He had 119 yards and a touchdown, averaging 5.95 yards per touch, so 1.7 yards more per touch. Of course, after that, you have Gunnar Helm and DeAndre Moore, who are their receivers. They're going to catch the ball downfield more, so their average yards per touch is going to be obviously higher, but their touches are going to be lower, obviously. Through the first 6 games of the year, the total touches favored Jaden Blue, 75 to Trey Wisner's 54. In those first 6 games, Blue averaged 4.99 yards per touch. Wisner averaged 6.44. So that was predominantly preseason games, right? Colorado State, UL Monroe, UTSA, Mississippi State, and of course the Michigan game and the Oklahoma game, which were the 2 better defenses. But those were the splits, 6.44 to 4.99, and they've flipped the last 2 games in SEC play. And I'm just wondering and kind of saying, can we stop with the Trey Wisner focus? Trey Wisner's a good back. And
he's not your pure number one. They treat him like he's the lead. They treat him like he's the bell cow.
I'm going there. This is what we talk about in like the fantasy circles. Like there's certain guys that are built to be RB1s. There's certain guys that are built to be RB2s. There's certain guys that are RB2s that, you know, on any given day, they can look like a number 1, but when they're thrust into that role as a feature, they aren't good at it. Alexander Madison, for example, is a guy that can come off the bench and take 10 carries and look fantastic.
He's looked, Alexander Madison's looked okay the last 2 to 3 weeks, Cody.
Again, you just said 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the point. The point is like these get like
Tyrone Tracy's a fraud like this.
Huh?
Do you think Tyrone Tracy Jr. is a fraud like this?
I think Tracy's a bit of a tweener in that. I think Tracy exhibits. I think he's also too young at the position, but I think he exhibits. Rashad White type, Le'Veon Bell type abilities. So I think the guy's only been playing running back for 2 years of his career, so it's kind of a tough spot to. He's kind of a.
He looks kind of small, man, but he's looking good. He's looking like he should put Singletary just on the bench.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly call Tyrone Tracy small in comparison to.
He looks small. He looks small out there. I forgot what his height and weight was. It doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about the New York Giants backfield.
I think he's like 6 foot. I mean, what is he? 5'11",
skinny. He looks skinny.
Oh yeah, he's definitely slender throughout, but he used to be a wide receiver for the most part of his career. Anyway, my point more so was asking, like, can we stop with the Trey Wisner focus? Because as much as like they talk about, like, you know, the getting the ball up quick with Quinn, and he's very efficient and elite in those areas. Wisner's not the most efficient in those areas. Like we've seen, it was Blue. Blue was the one that was mega targeted 2 weeks ago. Didn't carry the ball as much. If we're going to play this game of like, you know, let's get Wisner 10 carries or 12 carries, like, and he's not going to be that efficient with it. Is he really, and this is my question, is he really that much better than, why don't we just see what Jarrett Gibson is? Why don't we see what Jarrett Gibson is with 15 carries? Why don't we see
if Jaden Blue can go back to being Jaden Blue?
Why can't we see if Jaden Blue can go back to being Jaden Blue? Like when you're looking at a guy, like he's the one that if he can figure out the ball thing, like the not fumbling thing, like he's the one that gives you the most upside right now today. Gibson, I think, gives you a different element, but he's still young. He's still a young buck. And when I ask that question, it's kind of unfair for me to generalize and ask that question, because I always go back to what Mike Zimmer said after practice, Kellen Mond's rookie year. He was asked in the post game, he's like, you know, why don't you play Kellen Mond? And he goes, why would I play him? I watch him every single day at practice.
Yeah.
Like we don't get to see him every day at practice, right? So we don't know, you know, that maybe Blue's not having good practices or Gibson's not having good practices. So, I mean, I'm not going to talk down or bad about any of the coaching decisions of doing this, but from an onlooker, I think there needs to be a little different, POA at the running back position with the utilization.
No, I agree. And, because I want him to keep playing Wisner.
I want Wisner to play, but
Yeah,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying bench Wisner by any means, but
yeah.
give me something else. Mix it up a little bit. Let's see what Niblett is. Let's see what Gibson is in a little bit bigger role. Or go back to blue.
Yeah. No, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. Tell him about the punter. What about the punter?
The punting stat. Well, let me run through these two other ones and I'll get to the punter because
Okay.
we only got a couple minutes left. So, first off, this year with a 5.1% drop rate, which is up from 3.6% last year. Last year's Texas team had 10 total drops, which was 9th in the country. This year, they're 36 in the country with 7 total drops already. And of course, there's still 4 games left. Jaden Blue leads the team with 5 drops. Trey Wisner 3. Bond has 2. And then DJ Campbell is the 3rd worst zone run blocking grade amongst offensive linemen in the entire SEC.
Per Cockamamie PFF.
Per Cockamamie PFF.
I'll
And
bet you. Is that through the Vanderbilt game?
Yes.
He bounced back versus Vanderbilt. Oh, I don't know. He had a good first half versus Vanderbilt.
We'll have the rest of that tomorrow when the deep dig is completed. The last stat I have for you, and also I put a quote in there from the great Nick Saban, and I was going to ask you this tomorrow, but I'll actually, you know what? I'll ask you it tomorrow after.
All right. Okay, yeah. Quotes from Nick Saban. We will leave for tomorrow.
The punter stat. Michael Kern has the worst net punting, 37.9 yards, and the worst hang time, 3.54 seconds in the SEC to this point this year. And I put in there, shout out to Catch, because he literally talked about this in the preseason, in the summer, when nobody was like worried about the punter position. I remember like multiple shows where Catch would talk for half an hour about they need to go to the portal and get a punter. They need to go to the portal and get a punter. Why aren't they getting a punter? When's the punter coming? Are we going to get a punter? Or are they really going to roll with this freshman? He's the worst punter in the SEC from hang time and a net punting perspective to this point.
I could have probably guessed it. I think he'll be better, man. Here's the thing. Jeff Banks is a punter himself. He doesn't look at that guy and say he stinks. I'm just going to roll with I trust him looking at punters the same way I trust, he sees things that I can't see the same way the Sark looks at a quarterback and sees things that I can't see. So maybe it's just like he needs a little bit of development. That's all. Oh, that's a big take by Max. All right, man.
Wow, that's big.
Now you can email us. It's right down there. fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier. You can please, or you can like the show. You can subscribe to the channel. We ask that you please do. We'd like to get in, get out, talk football. Hopefully have some fun and be able to be a couple of cool dudes to hang out with and talk about your Longhorns and your NFL, your SEC football every day. We're here 6 to 7 p.m. We can't thank you guys enough for being here. It would not be a show without all the great chatters and everybody else that tunes in afterwards to catch the replay of the live stream. So thank you guys, which by the way, dwarfs the people that watch later. That number dwarfs the people that watch this thing live. We're sitting at over 500 live right now, but this video will go at least 10x that. It's just wild, man, how the show's grown. So thank you guys so much for always tuning in. Whenever it is that you tune in, we cannot thank you enough. All right. Go out tonight. Go have some fun. Go do something big. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.